everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Feminine Moment. I'm Cherry Lynn, and I'm here with Dixie, Andelin, Forsyth, author of Fascinating Womanhood for the Timeless Woman. Hi.
Hi.
We're here today to talk about something we've been hearing a lot about, getting a lot of questions about husbands that are bossy. And no really specific story. I wish I had something really specific. I'm always asking the ladies if we can have more detailed stories, but I thought it was a good subject for us to talk about because we are hearing a lot about these men that are kind of harsh in the way that they communicate.
Well, there's bossy and there's harsh. And the reason I smile is I think of a guy that I know. He's a good friend of our family, and we think he's great. We love him a lot. But he came and stayed with us for about 3 months once to help Bob with a business project. And so he was very bossy.
Okay.
He would come into the kitchen, which is sort of my thing. Now, some husbands love to cook. I think your husband likes cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's fairly adept in the kitchen. And sometimes when that happens, he can say, no, I want the pans here, or let's organize this way. And you have that issue to deal with. But this guy would give me all sorts of unasked for, unwanted advice on my cooking. You need to stir that longer. Or the difference with him is he says, I'm a little bossy. But he didn't stop being bossy. And so what I found that I did with him is I used more childlikeness and girlishness with him because I really thought he was a great guy. He wasn't a bad person. And of course, if this is your husband, you married him, so you think he's even a better person than this friend of ours. And he was, and I know a couple of other men that are a little on the bossy side. And I think that it's sort of a little part of their personality. And maybe they're trying to be helpful. Maybe they're just a little bit controlling. You know what I mean?
Well, are you talking about the guy that you're using in your example? Sounds like he was kind of polite, but he was bossing you around versus, I think there's two kinds of bossy. There's bossy, you're kind of polite, but you're kind of snarky. And then there's bossy and
ordering.
Aggressive.
Ordering is a little different than bossy.
Mm-hmm.
Ordering is saying, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of a bit of a command and control kind of a thing. And again, that's something that I think in some cultures, there's more of it maybe than others, maybe how they were raised. But no matter what it is, if it's harsh, if it's really hurt your feelings, the kind of the guide that we use in Fascinating Womanhood, if your heart is involved and you can't manage the girlishness because it's not, you're just too hurt, then when he's not being bossy or controlling or whatever it is he's doing, say, do you have a few minutes to talk when you know he's not midnight and he's trying to go to sleep, or he's in the middle of trying to do something? When there's a good time, ask him if you can have a few minutes and talk about it. Say, I feel bad. Remember not to attack a man because you'll immediately be defensive. And if he's defensive, you lose. Nobody wins if he's defensive. So you make it from the point of view of, I'm really struggling with something. I'm struggling. I have these feelings. And is there any way you could help me? What would really help me, and men will like it if you have a solution. Could you do this?
Correct.
And a lot of times as women, it falls under the hinting category, which we're really good at, which is, I'm hurt. I don't like this. And then we stop, wait for a response. It's better with the girlish thing is to, just like my little sister did with a hamburger. Dad, I'm hungry. Could we get a hamburger? It would be better to approach him a little bit more like, honey, I am really hurt when this happens. Is there any way? What would really help me is if you did this. That would really help me, because it tells him what he could do rather than leaves it like, I either have to defend myself or I have no idea what to do.
It sounds to me too that that's probably not going to be anywhere near the end, because the men that I know that fall into this category, I'm imagining having that conversation, and it might take several of those conversations to kind of get change, right?
Well, it might take years.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure.
I mean, what if his father was like that? What if he comes from a long line of naggers? I mean, and controlling men. It could take years, just like with the the wall of reserve melting. When
Yeah.
you married your husband, he was not a child; he was an adult. So when you married him, he came with a full package, complete with a family of origin, traditions, issues, everything. It comes in one complete package, and he gets you the same way. By the way,
Right. That's true.
like your
Point.
experiences with. I happen to know you're my daughter, so I happen to know you and your husband a little better than some people. So I remember when you were dating, and your issues for dating other guys and then dating him are not identical. And your experiences with men, you happen to have brothers. Some girls have no brothers. Some girls are the only girl in a whole house full of brothers.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these different situations. And so if you're married to a guy who's kind of charmingly bossy, like this friend of ours, or if you're married to the guy that really wants to control everything, and like I know a guy, I don't know how this woman does it, because he controls all the money that's spent. He has to go to the grocery store with her. He has to okay everything, even a bottle of ketchup. And that's tough.
Well,
Hats off to her if she can handle it. But that guy is, to me, on the far end of that. That's like too much. Maybe it doesn't bother her that much. I don't know. It does. Of course it does. because the reason I know about it is because she's complained to some of us. But she didn't complain as a matter of passe womanhood. It was just a person. So I didn't. Yeah, I didn't talk to her about too much. But when you have somebody who's really controlling, is that what you're saying, on the extreme end, or bossy on the other end?
I think of bossy into two categories. Like, I mean, maybe there's more, but I think of someone that's rather annoying and, like you said, charming but annoying. And then there's somebody that's more aggressive and
like the friend of the family would say, you didn't put salt in that, or you need to put enough salt in. Don't forget this and don't forget that. That's kind of annoying, but it isn't really controlling.
It's not like you feel like you're gonna, lose your temper at this person.
Yeah, I did feel like I wish he wasn't in my kitchen some of the times.
Right.
But he was a family friend, so I kind of had to handle it carefully. But what I did is I teased him, and it made it okay. I teased him and said, "You're being bossy again."
Can you be childlike or girlishness? Can you show that to someone that's aggressively controlling, bossy, that kind of category?
Yeah, but it depends on if it's hurting your heart. If it's hurting your heart and you want to cry, or remember you mentioned anger. Mm-hmm. Anger is a cover-up. It's not a primary emotion. It's a secondary emotion. Primary emotions are hurt, ashamed, glad, afraid. I mean, there's several of them.
Yeah, all the basics.
So with anger, most often, if he's pushing you, you probably hurt that he's treating you that way. Mm-hmm. Anger is a cover-up. And I shouldn't say cover-up, secondary. It's secondary. It's not primary.
That's where you're saying to talk to them
I would talk to them and try, and for women who quickly kind of just lash out.
Yeah.
It's difficult. That's a habit. It's difficult to stop it, but you can, one incident at a time. Yeah. If you pre-tell yourself, okay, when this happens again, which it undoubtedly will, because it has our whole married life, I have this I'm going to respond with. And if you pre-plan it, you're less likely to say something and think, darn, I didn't want to say that. I didn't mean to say that.
I wish I said this.
And then you have to apologize for your behavior instead of just dealing with his behavior.
Yeah.
Because it isn't okay for you to blow your stack either. Then you regret that, because it's just a big mess. But if you can manage to keep your cool and say, next time he says, I'll make some snide remark about, I know I'm picking on cooking because of that friend of the family. There's probably 1,000 things that it could be. The way you, I don't know, can you think of one?
Household things, like the way the house is run, the way the kids are being raised.
Okay, there's thousands of those things, especially the way kids are being raised is a huge one, because you come from different backgrounds, sometimes different cultures. And sometimes if he is unreasonable, instead of saying, can we talk about this? Because I've I sort of think we should do it this way, and you think it should be this way, and then you have a polite conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But when there's emotion behind it on his part and you feel marginalized and invalidated,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it really hurts.
Right.
And so what's the best way you can respond without causing too much friction, without making it worse, without going to bed not speaking, if possible, because that isn't what we want.
Right.
So the answer is girlishness. Either girlishness, remember, isn't just a way of expressing displeasure. It's a way of expressing, of being upfront.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can I please have a hamburger? I'm hungry. Mm-hmm. That's also girlishness.
Yep.
It's also, can we talk? I've got some things on my mind. I need to talk. Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
I feel when this happens, I feel really bad. I probably shouldn't, and I'm sorry that I do, but I feel bad, and I'm sure you don't mean to attack me, whatever. And if, handling it that way, if you can manage the girlish displeasure with all the nerve. I got to tell you an incident that happened. My sister, Ginny, you know her. She just told me today that not long ago, just the other day, so she got the mail, and there were two envelopes. She didn't realize it, but two of them were kind of stuck together, and the one on the top was an ad for some insurance or something. It was just junk mail, so she threw it in the trash. A little bit later, her husband came home for lunch, and he looked in the trash and saw this letter and saw that the other one was stuck to it, which she didn't see. Mm-hmm. And he was horrified. He said, "Did you throw this away? This was a check for several $1,000s."
Oh.
And it's not like her to do that. And he was kind of, you threw this away kind of a thing. And so she just, on the spur of the moment, did a very childlike thing. I think he was sitting down. She made him lunch. And she went and sat on his lap and put her arms around his neck. And she said, "I don't know how you put up with it. I just make mistakes all the time. I even throw your money away." And he has made so many comments about that. This has probably happened a week or two ago. Mm-hmm. And he keeps referring to it with, he laughed. He referred to it now with, like, it's throwing money away. Because the thing is, the way she really is, she's super careful, super organized. She would never do that.
And for anybody that doesn't know her, that may sound difficult to say for some of us, like to make it sound very genuine, and that she can absolutely pull that kind of thing off, and that's what works for her.
It does, and she's been married a long time, so they have an established relationship, and that's something that I would do. I would do it. I don't know that I'd do it when I was a newlywed. I don't think I knew him well enough.
Yeah,
whether I could, but it was absolutely perfect, and so now he refers to that. Hey, you're not going to throw money away again, are you?
Yeah.
Instead of something, she said he could have been furious with her and thought, "I can't trust you."
Well, and let's be honest, 9 out of 10 women would probably be defensive or feel defensive or both if they would say, "Well, I didn't see it. I didn't,"
right.
And start getting upset themselves, and it would never result in anything good.
Right. And then he would get defensive because his personality, and he would think, then he would have to justify his side and say, "Oh yeah, well, and it could go on and on." Instead, that situation, it was thousands of dollars. Now, honestly, in the end, if it had been thrown away, it would have been inconvenient, but it could have been solved. Like, he would have contacted whoever gave him that and said it never arrived. And they issued a new check. It would have maybe taken a couple of weeks to fix. Yeah, inconvenient, but money hits people where their emotions are. Their wallets. I mean, it just does. And so she was able to make of that an almost humorous situation where it kind of melted him. Yeah. It kind of melted him, and his horror at seeing this check that I don't know how long he'd been waiting for it, but he was waiting for it, and there it was in the trash. So,
wow. No, that's a really good example. And I think too, anyone else that's watching, there's so many points that you're touching on that are all other different videos. So I think we have 2 or 3 videos on this channel of childlikeness, girlishness. So those are really great to watch, wouldn't you say, if you're watching this one and you want to know more?
And remember, there's different phases, aspects of girlishness. There's it's childlike or girlish joy, asking for things, trust. We always focus on the displeasure or the anger part because I think it's
common.
Thoughtlessness happens all the time because human beings are just imperfect. And so the thoughtless thing happens, and the way that it can actually deepen, and her husband, Ginny's husband, was so amused at the way that she acted. She exaggerated, like, how could I throw away? I even throw away your money. It was obviously an accident.
Yeah.
And he knew that. He knew her. So it was just one of those things that horrified him because the initial, have I lost all this money thing.
Yeah.
Money in the trash is not a good sight. You don't want to ever see it.
No. Well, good. That's a really good story. And I really appreciate you sharing all of your advice. And again, there are other videos that I think go along with this one. There are search our channel. You'll see other childlikeness videos, girlishness. Also, I think the guard dog video would be a good one for people to watch on the same subject. So check those out if you're still interested. And I think that's all we have. And
just one final note. Thank you for mentioning the guard dog, because when you learn about that, you will know that when he reacts that way, the bossy guy, he's really trying to control things because his guard dog's barking. Yeah, this subject definitely has so many hidden subjects in between. We could peel this. And that's from Timeless. So. Yeah. So thank you everyone so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Thanks, Dixie. Bye. Bye-bye.